wasn't long after we met last week that Jordan Hancock, the prized player that had originally committed to Clemson, didn't necessarily flip, but just he had decommitted and now is a Buckeye. And I think one good indication that I saw on his Twitter feed was he made some kind of allegiance as being an all-time Buckeye or lifetime Buckeye. And so that verbiage sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, then again, we've also seen kids go out and get tattoos, and then only to decommit and end up elsewhere. But I don't expect to see Jordan Hancock going anywhere other than Ohio State at this point. And it is a huge pickup for Ohio State. 6'1", $170, probably $170 plus at this point. Kid with ball skills who can run, likes to play press. He is everything that you want out there. We have him ranked 142 nationally at Rivals, and that's one of the players that I'm gonna send feedback on that I think need to be reevaluated. I think we have him not just a tad too low. I think we have him entirely too low. Pair him up in a defensive back class with Ja'Kalen Johnson, and this Kerry Combs guy is going to have something to work with here in the future.
Kevin, you mentioned or Mark, you said lifelong Buckeye. Was it Drew Richmond after he committed to or signed with Ole Miss or whatever, said I'll always be a Buckeye, without ever committing or signing?
That wouldn't surprise me with Drew. Drew was one of my favorites to cover.
But so yeah, it's you can be a lifelong Buckeye and never actually be a Buckeye for a day, apparently. But I with these two guys, with Ja'Kalen Johnson and Jordan Hancock, I'm not saying it's Sean Wade and Jeff Okudah, but it's a really good pair of corners to have in the same class. When you let Devontae Smith go, you're doing that knowing that you're going to be replacing him with somebody who's also going to be really good. And I viewed Devontae Smith as a really good prospect for the slot corner spot, and I know there's talk about Jordan Hancock doing that as well, so that might be a perfect replacement. But they've got so many good athletes in this secondary class, and probably still searching for maybe Derek Davis, the safety out of Pennsylvania, to fill it out if possible. It's a lot of guys, but when you play three corners, maybe two safeties, maybe a bullet, you're going to be throwing as many guys up against the wall in terms of defensive back prospects and trying to sign as many as you can get in the class, because there's a pretty good chance that you can put them all together and you can put them out there. And when Kerry Combs wants to rotate three corners outside and then still have an inside corner, and sometimes you're moving corners to safety, at least one corner a year will generally move to safety. So when you sign as many as you can, and the ones that don't pan out, they will either, they'll eventually just transfer out, and then you can continue to rebuild, reload, or whatever, because it's not like passing is going to go away anytime soon in college football.
And what happens too if Cam Martinez gets looked at, gets moved to offense? I mean, that always can happen. You got Legend Cavazos, who's getting looked at corner. A lot of people feel his natural position may be safety. So you need to keep loading up that corner position, because there seems to be a pretty natural flow. And as Gerd said, they do play a lot of corners out there, and there's plenty of opportunity.
Well, and Ryan Watts is a 6'3" corner, so he's probably a pretty good candidate to eventually move to safety, even because that's just so rare to see those guys. But he looked good in the spring. But we've seen other, Tyvis Powell started his career at corner, that didn't last very long. Nate Sally started his career at corner, that didn't last very long. Jordan Fuller at 6'2" had maybe a quarter of a practice at corner before he was moved to safety. So you just don't know until really they get on campus. But at least with Cavazos and Watts, they've been on campus. And I really like Cavazos potentially in that slot, because he is so athletic and he is safety size, but he's fast and he's quick. But, I think it's too much to ask of any freshman this year.
Number 21, Nate Sally. Boy, that guy hit like a hammer.
Yeah. Also on the basketball court, walk on with Thad Matta, picking up fouls, and Jim O'Brien, I guess.
I don't remember that.
He looked like a football player on the basketball court, if I recall correctly.
Well, we all can't be Ricky Dudley.
No, it's true. Looked like a Greek god on the court or on the football field.